Boundaries. Everyone has boundaries, with or without knowing that you have boundaries. Do you feel guilty for having specific boundaries? Do you feel guilty for shutting people out? Or maybe not saying hello or making conversation with coworkers or strangers you walk by? You don't have to feel guilty for it. There is a time where you can be opened and there is a time where you can be closed. These are boundaries. And in like seasons where you are closed and where you're opened. In the closed season, you can be resting and refreshing and growing, while in the open season, just as an open sign may mean open for business, and if you're open all the time or you lack boundaries, this can drain you out and exhaust you. When a store is closed, it will have a closed sign, and we respect that sign. It's really rare that someone would get mad at that sign and say, "Oh, how dare you, being closed." I think we really understood that time during that first 6 months of the pandemic back in 2020, when everything was closed. It was a boundary for a health reason. God made that day of rest, the Sabbath, for a good reason. It is rest for you. Rest for your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. We can also understand of the fence between our neighbor's backyard. It's a boundary, and we all respect that boundary of everyone wants privacy. When it comes to being opened or closed, we can look at the Bible, such as the story of Noah's Ark, when it was open for a time and then it was closed. There's a parable Jesus spoke about, the 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins. The 5 wise entered, and the door was closed, and the foolish were too late to come in, and the door was shut, and they could not come, and the door wouldn't be opened for them. Does this sound a bit harsh? Would God shut us out? When we read the book of Psalms, God saved those who were loyal to Him, but those who rejected Him, He shut them out. This is a boundary. And we are and should have healthy boundaries. Sometimes when we shut people out of our lives, this is not being harsh when we can do it in a healthy way. So if it's someone causing you harm or grief or pain or taking any advantage of you, this is a very good reason you can shut them out of your life. In my life, when I was very opened, I thought being opened meant being friends with everybody, being close to everybody, being opened, and that was a way of showing love. I met different Christians who would beat others down, had a more of a prideful spirit, hate and envy towards others, and they were convincing. And I think to the point you have to realize that they are not on God's side just because they shared a couple scriptures. When I began to be more closed and closing certain doors and having boundaries in my life, I had peace inside. I had to let go of trying to be involved or trying to fix people's lives or trying to help them in a way. And I wanted others to feel loved and cared for, not alone. I wanted to reach out to everyone I crossed paths with and become like friends with them. And I needed to have boundaries because I was being hurt. I was being mentally tormented and I wasn't having any peace in my life. I learned the quote, not to cast pearls before swine, just as Jesus said. I needed to learn my limit and be watchful. It's good to set up boundaries in every area of your life. Social boundaries, friends boundaries, family boundaries, personal boundaries. I needed to protect myself. I needed to know how important it is to stay silent. I needed that wisdom in when to stay silent. And sometimes when we stay silent, it's a form of self-protection and in guarding your heart. So what are the areas in your life you need to be opened or be closed, have certain boundaries in certain areas, and grow from there? So be blessed.